Some of you didn't want to show up here, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Did you see my boy last night, Josh Allen? Only 45 football plays. They annihilated the Miami Dolphins. Anybody who was going to take that Miami team, I told you flat out, don't take that soft-ass Hello Kitty football team. What are you, crazy? Week 2, National Football Show. Week 2, NFL. Week 3, college football. As we always do, we start the show off with big sales. And we are powered by our great friends at BetUS. Look, I told you, man, Bills were going to kill that team by 10 or more points. Miami is not a Super Bowl team. They are a playoff team. That's it. How you doing? How about this? Josh Allen only needed 45 plays to have his football team put up 31 points. And here's something else. Just to put the point to you now, he's 12-2 versus Miami. He's 7-0 on Thursday night games. And he's officially, since 2020, 50-18. 50-18. Try that shirt on again. He's 50-18. And to make it even better, since 2020, to start your career, your first 7 years, Mahomes is the only person in pro football history with more touchdowns. 231, Allen, 226, Mahomes, 225, Manning, 225, Peyton, Dan Marino. Those are Hall of Fame guys. Hall of Fame guys. We're not talking about getting to a Super Bowl and looking like shit for the last year and a half. We're talking about a guy who carries football teams. Don't ever tell me and don't ever say a word to me about Hurts versus that guy. Woo! Holy shit. That's a football player. He's 50-18-0 since 2020. This guy's incredible. And get this. He does it by himself. He doesn't have Devontae Smith. He doesn't have A.J. Brown. He doesn't have a great offense. When I'm talking offensive line, Hurts has all the accoutrements. And he can't do shit with it, basically. We're going to talk about what he said today, or what he said at his latest press conference. We'll hit on all that shit. How you doing? Woo! Now let's get to something that's important here, and that's the injury to Tua. I'm not in that camp. That's going to sit here on the air until Tagovailoa to retire. Hey, it's one thing when you're 60 years old to say, would you do it again? You'd have some consideration for some of the things that you did. But at the end of the day, would you go back and sacrifice your life once again when you were younger to play football? Yeah. Football players sacrifice their families, their friendships. It's not easy to play that sport. Whoever in a million years thought playing pro football was safe? It's not. Of all people to hit him, too. Damar Hamlin knows it as well as anybody. Guy who died twice on a football field in Cincinnati. There he is again. The story can't be more poignant than that. A guy who almost died twice is the guy that hit him is back on a football field playing ball. So when you answer that question or ask that question, should Tua retired? Why don't you ask Damar Hamlin, who actually died on a football field if he would quit. There he was. The guy that hit him. There's the storyline. The answer is no. Xander's right. He said something to me. He goes, when does it get to a point? It doesn't get to a point when you're 25. He goes, he's got the money. That's not, you don't play the game for that. The rewards of the game are given to you because of your great talent. Nobody can sit here. And most of the people that want him to retire, that are media people, have really never sacrificed anything in their lives. They have no idea what it takes to play that game. Brain damage? Would he? Look at JM. Brain damage? So fucking what? Nobody cares when you're 25. Tom Brady sacrificed his family for a shitty year in Tampa. DeMar Hamlin is back on the field and he died twice. Why don't you just look at the examples instead of your stupid opinions? Martin goes, that's selfish. No, it's reality. And it is selfish. Wait a minute, Martin. It is selfish. Who said football players weren't selfish? They'll put the game above their families. They put the game above their family. They put their game above fucking CT. They don't care about that shit. You miss it. You don't understand it. You never will. Most of you that will sit in here and say that stuff never experienced anything like that. You never experienced it. You have no idea what you're talking about. Would you go back and do it again? Yeah. Funny, there was a guy that so many people probably remember, go back in the day, Mike Utley, who was paralyzed on a football field, was asked if he'd go back and play the game again. He said, of course. Darryl Stingley, who was a wide receiver for the Patriots, who was paralyzed by Jack Tatum, was asked the question, would you go back and play the game again? Yeah. Are they selfish? Yeah. And? Tell me something we don't know. You see, what I'm going to tell you is, I get both sides. You're not wrong. None of you are wrong by saying, Dan, at 60 years old, do you know that game and things in that game? Yes. The helmets, the bullshit that the doctors tell you. You're not wrong. That doesn't matter when you're 25 years old. It doesn't matter. Whatever years, I'm not reading anything that you guys are saying right now because it doesn't matter. It has no bearing on how a young 25-year-old football player thinks. It has no bearing. You're talking as an adult, most of you in here. Those guys are all selfish. Yeah. 2-2. He's going to play again. Do I hope he plays again? I hope he makes a decision that makes him happy. And once again, dying on a football field? You know how many people would say that's the greatest place to die? Some of you would go, Sills, die doing what you love. That's the mentality you have to play that game. Some of you don't want to hear this. This is the dark side of the NFL. This is when you pull the onion back. The drugs you take to get on a field, the cortisone shots, all of that shit. What, you don't want to hear it? The game takes a lot from you. It takes your reasoning. It takes your health. It takes your mental place where you are in your mind away. Look at Joho telling Tua to retire. He wouldn't listen to you because you know why, Joho? That's a quitter's mentality. These football players don't have quitter's mentality. And by the way, the difference between Tua and Joho is this. Tua will put his life on the line. Joho wouldn't to play that game. There lies the difference. Some of you don't want to hear this. This is the show that tells you this. I've seen guys absolutely blow their bodies up into kingdom come. I know people who can't walk. Joe DeLamalore has to get blood transfusion every month. Ask him if he'd do it. He'd do it again. He'd do it again. Spike. So, okay, I would do it again. You wouldn't. Football players would. Most of you don't want to hear it. Get this. Sorry, dude. I didn't mean to tell you the truth about the players that you love watching. Fuck you too. No one cares that plays that game. Hey, Richard, fuck you too. That's what a player would say. That's what he would say. You don't want to hear it. Here's the cold facts. Hey, when you're 60 and you're banged up and your body hurts and you can't sleep for more than 2 hours a night and you have to go to bed taking medication every night, yeah, shitty. I haven't had a night's rest in 10 years. I'm going to walk with a cane probably in 3 years. Okay? I'm probably going to have my hip replaced and a knee replaced. Do it again. Do it again. Would you think I was going to come out here and be one of the rest of the guys that are sitting there telling people to tell somebody else how to live their life? Holy shit, our country is so ass backwards. You can't tell a person how to live his life, nor can you recommend it. This goes exactly into the one thing that I despise the most about our political people today and how our news companies deliver the news to you. Try to tell you how to live your life. If Tagovailoa wants to get back on a football field, that's in his power. It's his decision, no one else's. Do I like the way that Mike McDaniel handled himself? Absolutely. No question about it. Cares about the player, cares about the man. I heard Xander say, it looks like, it's fun to play for him. It does. As a man, but as a football coach, that guy's got a soft mentality down there, and it was on display last night when his football team got taken to the woodshed. No wonder Vic Fangio didn't fit in there. Vic Fangio didn't fit in to a culture that's weak. That's a weak culture. That's right. Tank. You're right. They're built differently and not all good. And not all good. I didn't say that this is smart thinking. I didn't say that. Okay? No one said it's smart. No one said it's the right move. But at the end of the day, it's his move, not yours or anyone else's. Isn't it funny how everyone has an opinion on someone else's health and on someone else's career and on someone else's future? Sills, he's got the money. You think that fucking guy went out there on a football field last night to get his brain scrambled because he's got money? He went out there because he loves the game. And he does it because he loves the game. I admire him. And I admire Damar Hamlin. You couldn't have a better example of why Tua won't retire than Damar Hamlin. People miss that part of it. They missed that part. Damar Hamlin. He was on the field after dying. Hey, get this. Martin. You're not Martin. You're not wrong. But that's not how you think, Martin. I understand, Sills. It's not worth your life. And leaving your kids behind, not worth it. At that age, you sacrificed. Dude, that's not how you think. Because you think when you're younger, I would give up my kids and my health. When you're older, you won't. When you have more maturity, more understanding, Dude, the last thing to go in an athlete is his heart. His body's the first to deteriorate. Okay? But the love of the game never leaves you. It's something that's ingrained in you. So, Sills, what do you expect out of Devin White's situation? Doesn't look good. Also, Barkley is our McCaffrey. He sure is. We'll talk more about Devin White. Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate that. Okay? Thank you. We'll find out if he ever plays again. Look at this. See this here, Crowley? You don't want to hear it. Too bad. Oh, Tua, please retire because we don't want to see you with your brain scrambled. That's not your decision. It's not your decision. Crowley's Crowley and Tagovailoa's Tua. Okay? I mean, end of the day, my position will be this. Wherever God leads him and whatever internally he feels, we'll be there for you, man. It's a great brotherhood. As I told you, 29,000 men in 105 years of pro football have ever played NFL football. There's only 15,000 of us alive today. 15,000 people have ever played national football and been professional football players. 15,000. Over 105 years. I'm one of them. And I know where he's coming from. Okay? Sills was in a wheelchair. I was in a wheelchair for about 3 months. I was in a wheelchair. Do it again. Google it. I almost died because of the game. Hey, I'd do it again. Okay? Once again, folks, it's without a doubt. This will be his decision. Not some guy, even my dumbass. So let's move on. And let's get back to the 50-18 quarterback. Holy cow. What a performance by the Bills. Their defense stepped up. Josh Allen. Holy cow is that. Hey, the reviews that he got last night, only 45. Do you understand what the Bills did? On 10 plays a quarter. Defensively and offensively, they annihilated a team. Hey, I agree with you, man. That James Cook, he can play, baby. He can play. Hey, by the way, Josh Allen with James Cook and nobody else. That thing right there looked better than it did a year ago without the drama known as Mrs. Stephon Diggs. What a football player. Woo! Hey, would you ever give Jalen's bet? Nobody in their right mind who has any brains would take Carson Hurts over Josh Allen. Nobody. How you doing? What a performance last night. That's how you get it done, man. That's how you get it done. All right. Week 2 of the National Football League. Big sales with the matchups that are going to need to be watched for Monday night against the Atlanta Falcons. My Hurts takeaways He had a chance to talk to the media. I liked a lot of what he said. Okay? Samuel, the Bill said, hey, Dolphins, we're a physical team. Do something about it. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said until proven otherwise. Xander was telling me yesterday, he goes, Sales, I don't know, man. You got a lot of weapons. They got, Tua led the NFL in passing yards. I went like this. Until that team proves to me that they're a physical team, the Bills by 10 or more. Bills by 10 or more. I never thought that game would be close, and it wasn't. It was never close. Oh, wait, the coin flip. That's when it was close. The coin, here. Hey, watch this. There's two things I'm going to flip the coin to. Ready? Dolphin-Bills game last night. You get the kickoff. That's how close it was. And watch this. Allen versus Hurts. Allen. That's how close it was. The coin flip. No. Not even. Hey, and before Tua got hurt, he sucked. Before Tua got hurt, he was. The Bills were working him over. I looked good last night, man. If the Bills could dominate like that with Allen not needing to do much, they're going to be scary. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're going to be scary. Okay? Absolutely. They're going to be scary. Absolutely. All right. Appreciate that, my good friend. The coach there is just weird. I'll take Nick over him. No, I won't. I'll take Mike McDaniel because he's a better play caller, and Tua's not going to have to worry about coordinators. So you take Mike McDaniel over. Dude, I would take a doorman at a strip club over Nick Sirianni. Are you fucking crazy? I'm not even sure what Nick Sirianni's job is. I mean, there's two things he's qualified for. Being a parking lot attendant and being a bouncer at a strip club. I'll take Mike McDaniel. He's a play caller. I mean, I would take Snoopy over Nick. Okay? They're not close. Hey, absolutely. Are you crazy, man? Dude, Nick Sirianni is like, I don't know. This guy's the king of the word salad. Dude, anybody could coach the Eagles right now. Anybody. That's what makes that job so pathetic. Anybody. Rich Kotite could coach this team. Rich Kotite could coach this team. Pick the shit. What's his name? Hugh Campbell could coach this team. Who else is shitty coach? Pick one. Pick anybody. They can coach this team. Holy cow. Oh, hey, Nick, what's your gig? I don't know. Go get me some coffee and Krellers. All right. Let's get to Jalen Hurts. Let's do Hurts first. Jesus criminy. Nick Sirianni over Mike McDaniel. I don't think so. I don't think so. I know you guys were all praying that you thought Josh Allen was going to suck last night, so you could come barking in here. When it comes to the Dolphins, you don't have to worry about that because when he plays against a good football team, I'll let you know. I'll hook your ass up. Right? I'll let you know when they're going to need him to take the Clark. You know, last night he didn't have to really come out of the Clark Kent outfit. He didn't have to be Superman. Okay, 13-19. They beat the shit out of them with 45 plays. 45 plays. They beat the shit out of him. 45 plays. Holy cow. All right. Let's get to Jalen Hurts first. Oh, man. I knew my boy wasn't going to let me down. Jesse goes Tua got beat up. Hey, man, I'll tell you what, Sean McDermott, nice job on the defense. Good job. Please, guys, hit the like button. By the way, we are so thankful for you guys coming aboard each and every single day. I know there's a ton of options. There's a lot of people out there that are doing what we do, but you guys own the show. You know, whether you agree with me or not, the one cool thing is that you guys come here and we go back and forth. Senor's dead on. Senor, do you not agree with this? Senor, until otherwise noted, until the Dolphins show any kind of physicality, they're not a Super Bowl contender. They're just not a Super Bowl contender. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. Very good. Okay? Thank you. Okay? And you wonder why Brian Flores didn't want Tua. Oof. That's a harsh reality. Brian Flores is right. It's hard to say this. It's hard to say this. Brian Flores didn't want him for exactly what happened last night. Samuel, it's hard for you to say that, and I know you're not meaning anything, but you're right. You know how I talked about players getting on the field? Okay? You know how players getting on the field? Well, that's exactly what happened. And you're right. That's why he didn't want him. Okay? No question. So, let's see here. Unfortunately, the Eagles D would get rolled by the Bills. He put up 500 yards on them. Sills, Chop Robinson looked great, man. Kid's got power. Needs to be a little bit more productive, though. Needs to be a little bit more productive. Let's get into Jalen Hurts. I thought there were some really good things that he said. Listen, right out of the gate, though, tell me if you think that this is a shot at the previous regimes. I'm not saying Shane, but tell me if you think that this was a shot at Nick and maybe even Brian Johnson or some of the other people that have been in the building offensively. He said this, hey, man, I trust my coaches. I mean, they did a nice job on the blitzes, and all of us were on the same page. I really trusted what my coaches were telling me. I was like, you didn't trust them before? Or was that just a figure of speech at the moment? I'm not going to dissect that too much, but, usually you say something like, hey, our coaches and us were on the same page. And it was really great. We had a great connection picking up the blitzes. And I thought we really did a really great job. Instead, he's like, I trust my coaches. What, you didn't trust them before? You didn't trust Nick and what Brian were doing a year ago? Or Kelsey? Is that, or do you think, again, it's just the way Jalen it probably is the way Jalen talked. But I thought he was right out of the gate. He's like, I trust my coaches, and communication was good on the blitzes. Trust my coaches. That's insinuating you didn't trust them a year ago. Cam Jurgens. I like how the Philadelphia media doesn't want to really. I'll tell you one thing about Jalen Hurts. When he talks to the media, I think he intimidates them a little bit. What do you mean by that? I think Jalen intimidates some of these guys. And they're afraid to go with a straightforward question. This is how they asked the Cam Jurgens fumble question. Hey, how do you think the communication with you and Cam went in the game. Instead of asking the question, was that a communication issue on the fumble? They were afraid to ask the question. Okay? They were afraid to ask the question. I think he intimidates these guys sometimes. Watch Mike Dub Sirianni. Wisconsin in Hurts's ear. Oh, if that's the case, that'll change. If that's the case, that'll change. He likes where they are right now. Cam Jurgens and Jalen. He was asked a question about the secondary of the Falcons. He said that Justin Simmons and Bates are spectacular players. We're going to have to know exactly where they are at all times. Hurts, when he asked about the decision-making and the interceptions and turnovers, this is what he said. I love it. I have to be better. It's on me. That's the first time I've ever heard Jalen Hurts take accountability for things. Hey, I got to make better decisions. Some of the decisions that I made in the game, it was on me. I've got to be better. Okay. Great. Knowing your mistakes or saying you know your mistakes. I've never heard him talk like that. Maybe that's the influence of Kellen Moore too. Hey, Jalen, it's not a good decision. Maybe it's not a good play call in that situation right there, but Hurts is probably like, you know what? I got to say this. Maybe Hurts feels more comfortable being Jalen Hurts, having Kellen Moore as his OC than Nick, and he feels more comfortable with it. Because I thought he answered the questions pretty good here. He said this on his misses, and the guys that were open, he goes, those are my mistakes. I've got to see it better. There's no doubt about it. You know, I thought it was really a great press conference for him. Because remember something, he won. At the end of the day, he won. Guys, please hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. He was asked about Saquon Barkley. He's a great player. And it was on display. And he really had a great night. And he just adds another great dimension to our offense. And he surely did. You know what? Here's the most important thing that he said right here. On the communication between Kellen and him in game. This was the most important thing he said. First game, we learned a lot about each other. More so than anything we did in practice. See, it's a double-edged sword how the Eagles go about their exhibition season. On one hand, they're right about having available players. Another issue in that they're wrong is they really don't get a chance to work on this communication. You know what he said, too, that I thought was interesting? The first time that him and Kellen were in game and you were getting a, what did he call it? A rhythm of how he saw the game, how he made play calls in certain situations. He said that was the first time we had done that. Imagine that. The first time you had a guy helping you play call in an NFL game was the first game you played in with no rehearsal. They had no rehearsal for this. So were there going to be bumps and ups and downs in a game? There's no question. Was this more about Hurts' ability or the fact that these guys didn't have a rehearsal? I think it's more about the rehearsal. I think the growth that you're going to see between Kellen and Jalen to that Monday night game, I think it's going to be a tremendous leap because now they got a sense of how they see kind of at least a little bit. It's only game one. It's only 60 minutes of ball. But at least they got kind of a feel and a rhythm of what they're going to expect, at least in the first quarter pull of the season. This is Hurts' words. He goes, I really didn't know. But by the end of the game, I learned a lot. I think we all learned a lot about one another. That's truthful. I thought it was a great question asked, too. I did. I thought whoever asked that question was a tremendous question. They learned a ton from the Green Bay game. Again, this is Jalen talking. Sills, how many moves would Eagles need to make to have a strong D to complement the offense? You need an edge rusher. You don't need a great linebacker. You need a solid one. You need TJ Edwards. And you need your corner. In my opinion, you need your corner just to get more reps. But I think you need an edge rusher. Brian, here, let me tell you the moves that would have made you better this offseason. Xavier Howard, Brian Burns, and Patrick Queen would have made your defense a Super Bowl defense. And then you would have had it on both sides. You didn't need Jahan Dotson. Okay? We'll see how that Barkley move works out. Remember something. Great first game. It'll mean nothing if he misses 10. It'll mean nothing. That game will mean nothing if he's not there for a set. Hey, now that we see what Barkley's ability is, it'll mean nothing if he's not there for 15 games or more. It'll mean nothing. You know what you'll be saying at the end of the year if he's not there for 15 games? What could have been? Okay? What could have been? You know, instead of extending A.J. Brown, where you had another 2 years on his contract, you could have hung in there for a year, use some of that money to bring in Brian Burns or to get Queen in the building. Then again, the Eagles don't do that. It's not what they do. They're not going to spend $15 million on a linebacker. They're not. They're not going to spend $18 million on a safety. They're just not going to do that. So again, you asked me what I thought would help. I'm not going to take a project in Bryce Huff. You know what? John McMullen is really high on that guy. I was never. You know why? He's not a frontline player. Vic Fangio knows that. He is not a frontline player. You mean to tell me after 2 months in a game, you haven't separated yourself yet? Really? You haven't separated yourself. You've been in the league 6 years, and you haven't separated yourself. That's a stupid move. This is a stupid move. I mean, and get this. All this could have been resolved if you gave Hassan Reddick. Hey, look at this. Sweat, Reddick, Milton, Carter, and Davis in the middle. How do you feel about that D-line? Pretty good? I'm good with that. It's probably the best front. You can argue better front than New York. Right? And your linebackers are a movable conveyor belt. It's a conveyor belt. Yeah, but Dustin, the whole thing, the whole Reddick move, he's dumb for burning money. The Eagles are dumb for making that move. And the Jets are dumb for not having the player under contract. 3 people got hit in the face, and all are losing. Eagles have no rush. The Jets have no pass rusher. And Reddick's burning money. That's a lose, lose, lose for everyone. I mean, that's not a win. It's not a win. Um, I didn't realize he didn't know Nick Foles. He says he's looking forward to meeting him on Monday as the Eagles honor Nick Foles on Monday. That'll be pretty cool having him out there. Um, he said this also. This is Jalen Hurts talking. He said that Green Bay really showed us a lot of things. It showed me a lot of things that I need to continue to get better at. I really like the way he talked. I think he's more in a comfort zone with Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier, his quarterback coach. I think that's a pretty good team of people he has around him. And he enjoys listening to them. And I do think you're going to see an improved Jalen. I wasn't sure, but after listening to him, he watched the film. You could tell. Hurts watched the film. And you could tell he was like, yeah, I need to get better here. That's on me. That's on me. The missed throws, he's like, I've got to see it open better. It's good. Hey, dude, what you want to do is have a guy. And by the way, I've come to learn one thing about Jalen Hurts. He's not going to lie to you. The organization will lie to you. You want to know what's going on in your team? You listen to Jalen Hurts. You listen to him talking, and you're going to feel what the truth is about what they're doing. Okay? You're going to get you're going to get the truth on what he's saying. Okay? You are. I think I respect about Hurts when I go back and he does not crumble like most quarterbacks do. NFL, he keeps grinding and grinding. He absolutely does. He absolutely keeps grinding it out. Shit, Green Bay beat the piss out of Dallas 6 months ago. I think Green Bay's a good team. Okay? I think Green Bay's a good football team. Like the offense being 95% new, he was dead right. He was right. When Hurts told the truth, you had a baby on what he said about Nick. No. I had a baby on the fact that how the organization babied Nick. I don't give a shit about Nick Sirianni. Quite frankly, Nick Sirianni as an Eagle, I don't care. I care about Hurts getting better and the development of Jalen. Dude, you're not going to win a Super Bowl because of Nick Sirianni. You're going to win a Super Bowl because of your quarterback. You're not going to win a Super Bowl because of your wide receivers. You're going to win a Super Bowl because of your quarterback. Plain and simple. It wasn't more on display last night. No matter how many Stephon Diggs is, Gabe Davis is, whomever. This comes down to the quarterback. If you don't have the right guy, you're not winning. Plain and simple. Here, I'll give you an example of this. Sean McVay moved off at Jared Goff, who was 40-20 with a Super Bowl appearance and an NFC championship because he didn't think he had the right guy. Well, he ended up turning around and winning a Super Bowl with Stafford. So in the end, really both franchises benefited. 40-20. He moved off of a quarterback who had delivered an NFC championship and a Super Bowl appearance, but he felt that wasn't good enough. If you don't have the guy and you don't think you have the guy, you're not winning it. I don't care how many Saquon Barkleys, how many wide receivers, how many tight ends. I don't give a shit about any of that. That is not going to win you Super Bowls. It's just not. If you don't have that guy, this is all about development of Jalen Hurts getting better. Hurts did not get better last year, and this is why you didn't go to the Super Bowl or the NFC title game. Everyone else got better. AJ got better. Devontae got better. Swift got better. Everyone had a better year except the quarterback. Doesn't that tell you something? I mean, great point, Abe. Look at Miami. You really think you're going to plug and play and put someone in there in Miami quarterbacking that's going to take that team to a Super Bowl? There's two issues there. One, Tagovailoa is not consistent enough to play. Brian Flores was right to want to move off him. You know why? You can't count on that. This is the hard reality conversation here about Tagovailoa. We're not talking about if you feel sorry for him. That's not the conversation here. You can't build a championship team around Tua Tagovailoa. You can't. I'm not sure you can build one around Joe Burrow yet. I'm not sure you can. Joe Burrow's in and out of the lineup. Can't have it. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care if you lead the NFL in passing yards. That's nothing to do with it. This is about winning Lombardi trophies. And that quarterback has to be the guy. Has to be the guy. Dude, if I hear another guy tell me we have the best wide receiving core, fucking so what? Do you have the best quarterback in the league? Or do you at least have one of the top 5 guys? I think you have to have a top 7 guy, top 10 guy to win a Super Bowl. And the further you get down the list, the more people you need around them. Purdy and Hurts. Dude, you actually think Jalen Hurts could win a football game with a running back and a decent tight end? No way. Nor could Purdy. Nor could Purdy. Last year, Hurts didn't have AJ in that playoff game, and he shit the bed. He shit the bed. Shit the bed. That's what makes, again, Mahomes so special. And these guys that, look at Lamar Jackson even. Who's he got? Wake me up. The tight end? Okay. Good player. Wake me up. Get this. Look at this right here. This guy refuses to believe. Did AJ, here, Eagle Realist, did AJ Brown have a career year last year? Yes or no? Did Devontae Smith have career numbers in multiple categories? Yes. Did DeAndre Swift have a career year? Yes. And did Hurts have 20 turnovers? Yes. Yes. Once again, not wanting to hear the truth. Just not wanting to hear it. Tua should retire. It's up to him. That's up to him. Dallas Goedert got hurt, didn't he? Joseph. Goddard got hurt, didn't he? As usual. As usual. That quarterback has to be the guy. He can't be the fourth guy. Do I think, hey, 9-year-old, I'll say this to 9-year-old day. Do I think the 49ers can win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy? This year you can. Once you put $60 million on him, it's over. Because you'll start losing components unless they start pulling Howie Roseman contracts to keep people in the building. When you start pulling players out of the huddle in San Francisco, look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has a nice offense, right? They sacrificed that side of the ball to make sure he has all the places and pieces he needs at the defense's expense. They don't spend money on linebacker. Why? They spend it all. And this is why I disagree with Xander. The reason that they don't have any money over there is because of the money they spend on offense. And I'll say it again. That's why they don't spend any money, because all their money's over on the other side. They're top heavy. That's a fact. They didn't give Bryce Huff money. They just gave him Reddick's contract. They robbed Peter to pay Paul. Gardner Johnson is really the only guy they spent any kind of money on. And the rest of them are free agents and draft choices. Low money. There's no investment on that side of the ball. That's why that Huff move is a big move if it fails. Okay? Get this. This is what he says. Yeah, we'll tell that to Kansas City. Kansas City hits on their draft picks. Kansas City, in my opinion, Kansas City won that game against the Ravens because they played lights out defense against Lamar Jackson. I don't remember anybody having a giant game. Did Mahomes? Did Mahomes have a giant game? I don't remember that. Did Pacheco? Did Travis Kelce? I think he had probably the best game of any of the guys. I think you have to have a balanced team. Get this. Is Kansas City a better 53-man roster than the Eagles? By far. Do the Eagles have more stars? Yeah, on one side of the ball. There's not one guy, including Mitchell, that could start for Steve Spagnuolo right now. Who could start in Kansas City? Carter over who? Chris Jones? Who? Even the kid they got from Purdue. That Galifianakis kid. You don't have a player like that. You don't have a player like that. Who on defense could start in Kansas City? Not one of your shitty linebackers. I'm talking defense, ding-dongs. Defense! By the way, they don't want A.J. Brown on that team. Kansas City doesn't want him. Kansas City would never want one player, except maybe for Barkley, to play with Mahomes. Because if they did, they'd be trading for Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. Name a guy who's been traded. Or they wouldn't have traded Hill. They wouldn't have traded Tyreek Hill. The supposed best player in the league was traded away in his prime. Think about that. Think about it. They traded away the best player in the league in his prime, and they're better. That's why Buffalo will be better. You know why? There's no primary target. It's going to make Josh Allen spread the ball around. And you know what else it's going to make Josh Allen do? It's going to make Josh Allen have to be protective of the football. Because he can't make mistakes now. I think that's what made Mahomes better. Hey, when you got Tyreek Hill and you got offensive skill set people back there, you know, you could be a little bit more of a freelancer and play outside the guardrails. When you don't have that room, Mahomes doesn't have that room to make mistakes. Look at how they played last year in the first 9 games. They were getting beat by the Raiders. The Raiders suck. Okay? I mean, that's right. There you go. Well, how about this? Benson, they're trying to be. They're trying to be. Will they get there? Josh Allen now is in the now area of postseason. He's sensational. Now he's got to carry that into the postseason. He's a one-man show. I do love the dude Cook. I think they got a really good tight end. Okay? I think Barry's done a great job since taking over as OC in Buffalo. But they got to do it in the postseason. He's a special football player. Okay? He's a special player. Kansas City's good, but you can always count on them. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. If Hill, where is that? They don't need him. Get this. Mahomes had one less interception than Hurts did a year ago. But Mahomes is always going to win in the postseason. Always. And he's going to throw for 4,500 yards. And get this. Think about this for a second, what JM just said. And then later on after the program, he'll write you a beatitude or some sort of manifesto of why this is probably right or wrong. He was breaking in brand new wide receivers in Kansas City. There's no Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown in Kansas City. And he had one more turnover or less turnover than Hurts. How does Hurts have turnovers when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? If Mahomes played in that Philadelphia offense, he'd have 65 touchdowns. I mean, and yes, I do. You bet your ass I do. You bet your ass I do. Because you know what him and Andy would do? They'd come up with ball-controlled football if their defense. And by the way, you know why they would never? They hire great coordinators. They hire the best of the best. Kansas City doesn't do the thing that Philadelphia refuses to do. Hire good coaches. Or the elite coaches. You've got the top coordinator on defense in the NFL. And you've got one of the greatest play-calling head coaches in pro football history. Do you think that's by coincidence? And you know what they're doing with Spagnuolo? You know what they're paying him head coaching money. You know, he's making $6.5 million. He makes as much as Sirianni does. Why would he leave? Why? So he can go coach the Carolina bullshit artist? Do you know that guy Dave Canales is already in David Tepper's office after week 1? Do you understand that? Who the fuck wants to go coach Carolina? Why? So I have to go look at that guy, tell me what a suck-ass coach I am? I could stay in Kansas City and make it to Canton and another Super Bowl and go for this fabulous ride with Mahomes and Reed for the next 7 years. Why would I leave? To what? Coach the shitty Bears? Ruin my reputation? Why would I do that when I'm making as much money as half the head coaches in the league? Why would I leave KC? Eagles won't do that. Eagles won't do that. Won't do it. I mean, there's no coincidence. They got the best of the best. You think, get this. They got the best GM. They got the best head coach. Got the best coordinator. And they got the best quarterback. Do they have the best offensive talent? No. Do they have the best defensive talent? No. I mean, Jesus criminy. Connect the dots. It's not about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It's about that four-headed monster I just said. GM, head coach, quarterback, DC. They got it all. There's no one in the league today that can compare to that roster of 4 that I just said. Do you have the head coach at Philly? Absolutely not. Do you have the offensive coordinator? He's good. Top 10, 15, I don't know. Do you have the best DC? One of them. Do you have the best player personnel director as a GM? No. No. Who does? You know who the closest team is? Baltimore. But now they got holes on defense. You know why Pittsburgh hangs in the room? Their front office, their head coach, their defense, but they don't have a quarterback. This is not about who's got the most stars. This is about who has the most talented people in key positions on your roster. And I'm not talking about player roster. Coordinator, defensively, OC, head coach, quarterback, and GM. How is it that the players or the NFLPA says that Clark Hunt and the Chiefs are the worst franchise in the NFL when they have won 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years and won 2 in a row? You know why? Kansas City doesn't give a shit about Slurpee machines or Big Dom or whomever. They show up to Arrowhead and win. I mean, you can't get around what KC has. Did KC win with a lesser quarterback like Alex Smith? They did. Were they ever going to win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith? Probably not. Sills, why don't you just say it? The Eagles are the most fucked up run or no, they're not. They're not. They're above probably 90% of the teams in the league. But they fuck up in their coaches. They don't have the best coaches because you're not consistent in keeping them. And you panic because you know why? They don't value their coaches. You've had 8 coordinators in 4 years. That's who you are. That's who you are. Daza, Cleveland, shitty quarterback. They got a good head coach, Kevin Stefanski. The GM, I don't know, Andrew Barry. Most of that team was built by John Dorsey, not him. I mean, and they got a good coordinator, so they're kind of good. They're kind of good. They're in there. Are they as good as Philly? No. Here's the organizations that are better than Philly. Baltimore, the Rams, Kansas City. I don't think Tampa is. San Francisco? And Philly, they're 5th. There's 32 teams. You're good. Detroit, JM, I want to see them consistently win like Philadelphia does. I mean, do I think they're a one-year anomaly? I don't, but I want to see it. Okay, I want to see it. Philly's too consistent to put anybody. I mean, look, Los Angeles, under Sean McVay, has been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl, and they consistently bring in right players, and they do a great job in drafting. Sills, being surrounded by talent is a gift and a curse. It would be hard for any quarterback to make those players better. All the quarterback can do with the talent level is make them more effective and efficient. It takes time, especially when you're going through coordinator after coordinator each and every single year, terminology each and every single year. There's nothing wrong with being one of the top 5 organizations in pro football. There's 32 teams. And if you're one of the top 5 organizations in pro football, we're talking about this much to win a Super Bowl. Again, that's where this conversation always goes to. Okay? Hey, by the way, when that guy Johnson leaves Detroit, is Jared Goff going to be a good football player next year? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea if that guy's going to be a good ball player. He's going to have to go through that again. Jared Goff has had one thing that Jalen Hurts has not had. He's had spectacular coaching around him, all except for that bullshit artist, Jeff Fisher. He's had Sean McVay and now the coaches in Detroit. You think there's any coincidence that he wins like that? He just got a $53 million contract extension. You think that there's any coincidence to that he gets better coach? Get this. You want to see the guys who get better coaching than Jalen Hurts? Jared Goff, Brock Purdy. I'm talking NFC. You think there's any coincidence that those two guys are considered the two best teams in the NFC? I'm not saying Philly's not far off. But do you think that that's not a coincidence they were in the NFC title game? Look at the two quarterbacks in the coaching. Purdy gets Kyle Shanahan, and Goff has had McVay and that guy Johnson up in Detroit. Do you think there's any coincidence to that? Any coincidence? Okay? Dude, when you get good coaching like that and stability, and they got stability, Hurts has never seen stability. I'll go back to a comment that Xander Krause said yesterday. How long has Jalen Hurts been playing? Let's see. What was it? 3 years at Alabama? Another year at Oklahoma? And he's been in the league since what, 2000? We'll just do the last 4. So like 8 years. Okay? You can correct me if I'm wrong here. Steve Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley, Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, 6 of the 8 years that Jalen Hurts has been a starting quarterback. He's had 6 coordinators. What are you talking about here? He's had 6 coordinators. He didn't really start in 20. Shit, if you want to go there, there's another coordinator. That's 7 coordinators since 2020. How are you developing him? And in the last 7 years, Mahomes has had one guy in his ear. One guy. How are you going to get consistency? Rob says it's more about talent. No one ever said that Jalen Hurts was a great thrower coming out of college. That's why he went in the second round. That's why he was benched in Tuscaloosa. But he's developing into it. But you're going to get this his entire career in Philly. You know the one reason why Jerry Jones doesn't fire coaches when everyone says they should? Why they kept the guy on NBC around all them years, Jason Garrett? Why they kept Kellen Moore? And then, if you think about it, how many coordinators has Dak had? 3? Jalen Hurts, and he's been in the league. You guys say this, right? Jalen Hurts has been in the league less time than what Dak has. I guarantee you, Dak has had less coordinators than Jalen Hurts has had in his time in the NFL. Think about that. This guy's got Jason Garrett, Kellen Moore. He had another guy too. And now he's got him. I mean, and he's been in the league longer, almost twice as long. Okay, way we will have consistency is if Kellen Moore doesn't get offered a job. Well, good luck on that. He's not going to stick around in Philly because why? He likes Hurts? Dude, that guy wants to be a head coach. Hey, don't be shocked if he gets offered a college job. Could I see Kellen Moore being offered the Notre Dame job? If Marcus Freeman doesn't do a good job, they lose a couple more games. They got a game this weekend against A&M. Could I see Kellen Moore being offered the head coaching job at Notre Dame? Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Attracting high school talented kids to South Bend. That'd be a perfect job for him. Especially if Hurts has great success. If Hurts has great success and Marcus Freeman blows, I'd interview him. Marcus Freeman's not going to keep that gig. Dude, The two most visible head coaching jobs in the NFL are the Dallas Cowboys and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame. I want a shirt for this. Show sucks, but I haven't missed one in 2 years. Thank you, Joseph. That means a lot. Thank you. Guys, please hit the like button. Okay? Thank you. I don't see Kellen Moore as a head coach. Well, he interviewed here in Philly for one. Okay? I mean, he interviewed here for it. He was in line with Nick. Right? He was in line with, he was one of the people that they interviewed. Look, I like, here's the one thing that I'm starting to really like about him. He's teaching Jalen football IQ and expanding it. Man, I'll tell you something. No disrespect to Jalen Hurts, but holy cow, how many fucking coordinators is that guy going to have to go through in his career? Like I said, Xander can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Steve Sarkisian at Alabama, Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. Do we count Doug in 20? And Press? Okay, let's go there from 20. Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, and now Moore. So in his 3 years at Alabama, 1 other year at Oklahoma, that's 4. And 5 years, 9 years, he's had 7 coordinators. This guy's had no consistency in his entire football playing career. Maybe going back to his dad, he had it. The Alabama quarterbacks are starting to look suspect. Imagine Tua playing in the 80s and 90s with those big hits. Probably killed the kid. Unfortunately, truth. Look at all the great quarterbacks. They have OCs to 7 to 10 years. Hey, think about this, Daniel. Coach Moore was in Indianapolis for 12 years of Peyton Manning's time in Indy. He had one coordinator in Indianapolis. His entire time, pretty much, outside of Moore, his first year when he threw for 28 picks, they brought in Tom Moore. He was there 12 years after that. They had the same center almost his entire career in Indy. Look at the pieces that they put around Peyton compared to what they did in New England. You had Reggie Wayne. You had Marvin Harrison. You had Dallas Clark. You had Marshall Faulk, or you had Edgerrin James. You had a great O-line. And you had one coordinator. Tony Dungy only had to worry about the defense. The rest of it was in Moore and Manning's hands. That's how they ran the Colts, and they still underachieved. I mean, shit, the guy in Pittsburgh won more. Think about that. Roethlisberger had a better career than Manning did in Indianapolis. He won more. Manning's a better thrower of the ball. So? He won 2 Super Bowls. Well, the first one, Sills, was more, it was more Jerome Bettis in the defense. Who fucking cares? Who cares? He gets credit for it. Who cares? You give Hurts credit for losing. He gets credit for winning. Jalen has had an uphill battle the entire time in Philly. It's not just about the great. Again, I broke your stones a little bit about Josh Allen out of the gate. Josh Allen's going to be a better quarterback because You guys are sitting there going, we'll see what he does without Stephon Diggs. No, you know what? The team's going to be better. No drama, and you don't have primary targets. I don't believe in a primary target. They don't win Super Bowls. Quarterbacks that spread the ball around win them. Those are the quarterbacks that win. I mean, Tyreek Hill did not have a big money contract when he won the Super Bowl in Kansas City. Can you name me another wide receiver? Mike Evans didn't make big money until this past season. Can you name me one that had a big money contract that won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years since those contracts have gone up? Can you name me one? Devontae Adams, traded. Stephon Diggs, traded 3 times. A.J. Brown, traded once, excuse me. Tyreek Hill, traded. Name me one. Kupp didn't have a big contract. He signed it after they won the Super Bowl. Name me one. Name me one. AB was on a minimum scale contract. What's big to you? Top 3 paid. Top 4 paid. That's big. Now, one of these wide receivers are going to win a Super Bowl. Unless the quarterback is the guy. You notice that all the quarterbacks that win Super Bowls, and here, get this, Matthew Stafford took a pay cut in Los Angeles. Mike Evans just got the look at this. Look how dumb this shit is. Mike Evans just signed his contract this offseason. That's the richest contract he's ever signed. Was just past offseason. He never made big money in Tampa. Cooper Kupp, once again, did not sign that contract until after they won the Super Bowl. That's not true. That's not true. Quarterbacks don't make receivers don't make great quarterbacks. They don't make great quarterbacks. Quarterbacks make great receivers. That's why Green Bay gets it right. You don't sign wide receivers. They get rid of them. That's not what they do in Green Bay. That's why they've always been great at it. Okay? Every other position is expendable except a great quarterback. No question about it, Mikey. That's exactly nails on. If your guy in your huddle is not the best player in your huddle, then guess what? You're going to be limited on what you can do if you're going to try to win a Super Bowl. Okay? Going to be limited. Let's see here. Sills, got here late. Thoughts on Sean Payton? Overrated. 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 Okay? Overrated. So let's do this. Let's take a time out here. We're going to get Xander on. Jason Cole, we'll talk to him about Tagovailoa. He's down in Miami, by the way. And we'll also, the great Philly Godfather is going to join us. Please hit the like button. Xander, where are we right now in the like? Boy, I'll tell you, man, that Josh Allen. Woo! Unbelievable last night. What a football player. What an absolute insane football player, man. Dude, 92. Come on, guys. Hit that bad puppy here, man. Got a ton of people in here, too. Appreciate you guys coming aboard here on a Football Friday. We're going to look at week 2 of the National Football League. And we'll look at the week. I can't wait to talk to the legendary Philly Godfather. Get this, Anthony. Anthony forgets the most important thing. He's 12-2 against the Dolphins, and now he's 50-18 since 2020. And he has the second most touchdowns to start an NFL career in his first 7 years. Only Mahomes has more. How you doing? How you doing? 50-18. Come on, me. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.